session on cybersecurity. About CIYF, the Chennai International Youth Fest is one of the world's biggest youth conclaves of India, organized by National Youth Council of India with the support of Government of India and Government of Tamil Nadu, United Nation entities, and several other institutional bodies. CIYF pioneered in the year 2017 to create a platform for youngsters from various streams to showcase and build their interests and talents. CIYF 3.0 was a grand festival that witnessed about 1.5 lakh spectacular talents across the globe, participating in 170 plus events and activities in 90 plus venues. More than 5,000 medals were given to winners and runner ups. We are proud to announce that the fourth edition of CIYF is back with a bang. CIYF 4.0 will happen with over 125 plus competitive and non-competitive art and cultural, fitness, fashion, sports, technical workshops, etc. Due to the current pandemic situation, online events will be conducted. Once everything returns back to normalcy, offline events will be conducted. Next, about speaker, Mr. Dinesh is a flourishing in the field of cybersecurity nowadays. We feel extremely glad to be a part of his session. We welcome you, sir. Now the session is yours. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you. So hope, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So, wait. So good morning. So first, I thank the event management and the committee members, everyone, for arranging this wonderful event. And thank you, the participants. So today, the one day of session, we are going to discuss more about the cybersecurity in a practical way. So it's not about a theory part. So full of the practical session, hands-on session. So I'll just give you some introduction. What are the things we are going to see in today's session? Then we'll move on to this the topic. So hope you are some of the members from computer science and non-computer science, and some of the members for other platform. So both research students and the public. So today it's like why we need to learn. Like the topic is about ethical hacking, cybersecurity, and cyber law. So why this particular topic is emerging and why this particular topic is trending and what exactly you are going to take away from this today's session. So I'll just explain briefly. Then you just make a note and you can take a screenshot, whatever you need, you can do. And this will be a practical session. And if you find any difficulty in following and if you have any doubts regarding this, every session, like I have planned for some uh, we'll take for one topic for 45 minutes or 30 minutes, and we have some 10 minutes of query session. And you can find like you have any doubts in real time or anything related to cybersecurity or ethical hacking, you can post or you can unmute and you can clarify it. So I'll just explain and clarify your doubts. So this is the flow what we are going to do today. So once again, I just explain what are the things we are going to do in one slide. Hold on. Yeah. So hope your screen is visible. So this is the first session, like the session one. What we are going to do in the sense, we are starting with the base level, like from the scratch, we are going to start. There is an introduction about ethical hacking and cybersecurity and why you need to spend the 1 day of session. Because today is Sunday, most of them we have some works. Apart from that, we are involving in this particular session. So you have to take back some knowledge, like you have to convert this knowledge, either you have to use this knowledge either some part of your life or in your career. So first, we hack up technology, we are supporting mostly like collaborated with the youth council and CIYF. And what we are doing in the sense, most of the cyber crime we are just supporting for them. And apart from that, we are doing a products, everything, so that we'll discuss. And this session about ethical hacking, first about introduction, we are starting with ethical hacking and cybersecurity. and networking, and what is a Linux and why we need to use a Linux and how to use. So most of us, we people are using either a Mac or Windows. So it's a time like we need to learn a Linux operating system that is a open source. I'll explain you in detail how to use. And the hacking, they have some platforms where they can hack. Some of the members, you may visit YouTube, and they used to say everything is being hacked, and we can able to hack within some 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But actually the real time scenario, I'll explain you whether that is possible and how the hackers are intruding into any system or a network or a web. So there are some 5 verticals you can do the hacking. So first is about a web, like a web, Windows, Linux, and Android. And in the web, there is some. I'll just show some demonstration about how they are doing a OT. This is like a eye-opening session, or like you can take it as a the starting session of ethical hacking. So actually, hacking is like a ocean. We can't complete within one day. But as much information I just give you in today's session, and I'll guide you where you can learn and how you can learn. Most of the webinars and most of the workshops, they used to say you have to update yourself. So after that, they won't say how to update and where to update. So in this session, I'll explain you where to update and how to update everything, each and every single uh, topics. And then Linux, about Linux overview and how to use Linux operating system. And then if you are using mobile, maybe you members, most of the members, you may say like, sir, I have only mobile phone. So is there any possibility to do or to learn hacking only with the mobile? It's possible. There is a tool named Termex, or you can install Kali Linux in mobile. So I'll explain you how to do that. And networking. So networking is a basic and the starting of any hacking scenario. So we have to learn about what is the networking and what are the things you have to know in that networking field, and then about the dark web. So dark web probably like that is a most of the members, they used to say that is a illegal. Actually, if suppose in some 5 years or 10 years, nowadays the cyber terrorist, they are using a dark web, and they are doing some transactions, and they are using cryptocurrency, and they are using Bitcoin transactions, cryptocurrency transactions, and they are selling products. But we as an individual, we are not aware of what is a dark web, and how to use a dark web, and how to track back the dark web. As you people are maybe you are a student or some other profession, if suppose you are going for a cyber forensic investigation, or if you need to investigate your own problem after some 5 years or 10 years, that time if they are using a dark web to track or to hack your data, so we need to aware of what is dark web and how the dark web works. So that I'll explain in dark web. And finally, how to secure our data. So that is a main part we need to know. So because if we learn about hacking, how to hack and all those things, if we skip the security part, so that is no use. Like anyone can able to hack our own data. So the final thing, we have to secure our data. At the end, you are learning these things in session 1, and session 2 is about cyber law and cyber forensic. Like if suppose this hacking is being taken place in any companies or the individual, how we can track and how to complain and where to complain, and what are the evidence we have to collect before launching a complaint. So these are the things we are going to learn in the session 2. So this is about the content of the core content of today's session. So we'll move on to the practical thing. Starts with the introduction and web hacking, and Linux mobile application, networking, dark web, and how to secure. So we'll proceed. And whatever the content I'm typing here, finally I'll share each and every content. So if needed, you can take a notes by your own, or finally I'll send you the coordinators. Like the coordinators will be coordinating with you. So I'll send you the mail, whatever the content I'm typing here, then you can take from them. So first about ethical hacking and cybersecurity. So this, as we have discussed, introduction. And first one, the introduction part is about theory, because as an introduction, we don't means we can't start with the practical. So introduction is the theory part. What is about hacking and why we need to learn the ethical hacking and cybersecurity and networking, ethical hacking and cybersecurity. Most of the members, we are aware of what is hacking and what is ethical hacking. So I don't need to waste much time on the introduction part. Like ethical hacking, most of us, we are aware of what is a hacking and what is cybersecurity and what is ethical hacking. If suppose, if consider a scenario, if suppose you are hacking into some website or a network, and you are altering some data inside that network, like you are not raising any complaint, just you are altering for those data which is having in those server or a website. So that is a hacking. So the person who do the illegal activity. Whereas the ethical hacking, the same set of person, if they are informing to the concern, like your website or your network is vulnerable in the sense weakness, so you have to protect. So likewise, if they are informing them, so that is a ethical hacking. And cybersecurity, like the parallelly, if we need to secure those website or a server or a mobile phone, so anything, so that is a cybersecurity. We are giving a security for them. So this is simply one line like explanation or a definition about ethical hacking and cybersecurity. And then what exactly we need to know about ethical hacking and cybersecurity in the sense. First thing about phases. Phases of hacking. So phases, everywhere we have some 5 phases of hacking. So if suppose if you are learning any hacking, most of the members, we people, what we do in the sense, we just open a YouTube and then we used to learn hacking. What is hacking? What are the things we can do with hacking? So actually there are some phases. There is some protocol. You have to follow those protocol if you are starting with the hacking as an initial starting stage. So first about reconnaissance. For example, think of a scenario. If you are hacking some um, any website or a network, so first thing, you have to understand the background principle, how the network works. So then only you can do the proper the testing. Hacking in the sense, if there is a vulnerability, then only you can hack. The vulnerability in the sense, vulnerability, that word is a weakness. If there is a weakness in any system or a network, then you can implement your knowledge over there and you can hack. If there is no vulnerability, if suppose that network is too strong and secure, so that time you have to wait and you have to test day by day to check the vulnerability. So this is a actual scenario which will happen. So first about reconnaissance in the sense, that is a planning phase. If suppose you are into some website or a network, if you need to hack something, so first you have to plan whether that network is a LAN network or a WAN network. You have to analyze. That is a reconnaissance. And scanning, like you need to scan how many IPs are live in that particular network. So that is a scanning part. And for that they use some tools. Well, in upcoming the topic, I'll explain you what are those things. And about gaining access, a first level of hacking, and the hacker, they used to intrude into that network, that is a gaining access. And maintaining access, until we complete a whole process, we have to maintain our access. So that is a maintaining access. And clearing tracks, if suppose if I am entering into any website or a network, our IP address and MAC ID will be stored in the other end of the server. So we have to clear those tracks. Likewise, we are just clearing the pathway, how we have intruded and what are the things we have captured. So everything we have to clear it out. So that is a clearing tracks. So if suppose if you are going for any interview, they just ask from the beginner level question, like what are the phases of hacking. That time you have to know about phases. So these are the five phases of hacking: reconnaissance, scanning, gaining access, and then maintaining access, and then clearing tracks. So first about introduction part about ethical hacking and cybersecurity, and then this is about phases of hacking. So what are the phases? And comes to types. So types of hacking. I'll take some 10 minutes for this theory part because without a basement, we can't able to learn much more things in hacking. So first understand the basic and then we can switch for the core topic of hacking. So listen the basic things properly. I'll share this PPT. So this is my PPT. I share this. So once we complete, you can just view. So this is the introduction PPT about hacking. Actually, we have discussed about ethical hacking and then cybersecurity, and then comes to IoT. So IoT, most of the members, you people are aware of IoT. So what is IoT in the sense? Internet of Thing. So why we have kept this IoT slide as a first slide in the sense, in upcoming years, after some 1 year or 2 year, the particular IoT will be the booming technology. Now they have a driverless car and everything that is automated. If suppose if any one of them they are hacking any home automation device, they can able to intrude into home very easily. So without any risk or without any the time, so they can just easily intrude with this is a time saving for the hackers. So what we people need to know in the sense how the IoT works. What is the IoT? If suppose in this COVID situation, most of the projects they use a robots. So the robots used to deliver the medicines to the COVID patients. If suppose the same scenario, they someone hack or someone intrude into the robot device and they used to collapse the whole hospital network. So what will happen? Like the server, they won't get the pulse rate of the patients. So everything will be collapsed, and they can able to means down the goodwill of the hospital, down the goodwill of any corporate. So it's very easy to downgrade the goodwill and increase the other end. Like this may happen in future. So what actually the cyber security or cyber crime profession they need to learn in the sense how the IoT works and how to protect. So other than the real time scenario, we have to understand the background working of IoT. So this is the purpose why we kept the IoT slide. And about networking. So we people are aware of, probably are from, if you are a computer science background, you are aware of this networking knowledge. This is the six equipments about networking. Like this is the second topic about introduction to networking. The networking, if we need to start with the networking, why, you may ask, sir, why I need to learn networking for ethical hacking? Without any connectivity, is it possible to hack or is it possible to intrude into any system? Like without, if suppose if I am basically I'm in Coimbatore, so you are from different places, but with the network we can able to communicate using the intermediate tool Google Meet. So without a network, if I am communicating from here, if suppose my network is been dropped, you can't able to hear my voice, and even if you are sending some message to me, I can't able to receive. The core part is about networking. The networking plays a vital role everywhere. So in banking sector, cyber security, in telephone, the mobile communication, everything. So in that networking, what are the equipments, the main and basic or intermediate equipments they are using in the networking field? So these are the six equipments they use probably in all the networking environment. So first one is about hub. Hub, probably we are aware of hub, or else you can just look out this, or you can search for hub network in Google. So the same image you will get. Actually the hub is like a junction box we used to have in our the home. What we do in the sense, we used to plug in and we switch on the power. The junction box, they have some 5 to 10 port or 4 to 5 port. You can insert your charger or anything in that port, and you can use that power. so they don't have any fluctuation. So all the units, it will give the same volt of power. So same way, the purpose of hub is to share the network with a common sharing. Like if suppose if I'm having some 100 MB of internet, the hub network will share 100 MB to some 100 persons. I need some 100 port, and if suppose if any 40 ports they are accessing, they used to take without any configuration. So it's like a just a sharing splitter. So from one connection, we are just splitting for multiple connection. That is a hub. Whereas the switch, so switch you may have in your office or in your college. So switch network, means we can go in an elaborate way about a switch, hub, IP, and classes. So we don't need to take that much time. Just an introduction, we can have some little bit of knowledge about hub and switch and repeater everything. So switch, it has some configuration, whereas the hub doesn't have any configuration. So switch has a facility called store and forward facility, and whereas IP and MAC, so that is a physical address. So those are the difference between switch and the hub. And then this is about router. Most of us, we people are using this router for a home network. Actually, this router is a hardware firewall. So we can keep a password, as you know, like you may probably use a router, Geo router, or Airtel router, or any router that is a modem or router. So this particular router has a password, and the intruder, they can't able to intrude without a permission, the prior permission. So that is the purpose of the router. That is a hardware firewall to check incoming and outgoing signal. The repeater. So repeater will, you may find this repeater in airport and railway station and even the bus stop. They use this repeater to transmit the signal after some 100 meter. The Wi-Fi radiation will be for 100 meter. So once we need to transfer the radio signal after the 100 meter, after the signal, so we have to keep this repeater device. The repeater device will capture from one end and it will boost the signal and it will give for some other some 100 meter. So this is a work of repeater. So we have a LAN repeater and also the Wi-Fi repeater. And this is about bridge. So bridge is to connect for long distance, like a tower. So we have a tower, right? Airtel, BSNL, every towers. So like a bridge, if we have a long distance connection, we can use a bridge to communicate with two buildings or two corporate network. We are using a bridge network. And this is about modem, modulation, demodulation. The modem work as like the modem has some configuration inside this set of box, and then this setup box has a, like if suppose if you are having a geo modem, you have to insert only the geo sim inside that modem. Why? Because that particular modem has a geo configured modem. The settings and all the port IDs will be based on geo network. So if you insert other sim card like Airtel, BSNL, or any other sim card, so it won't work. Same way, this actually a LAN based modem. So the LAN connection, in the sense here you have to insert a phone receiver wire. So the same wire as you have in phone receiver, the telephone receiver, you have to insert in this port. And this particular modem has some separate configuration. This configuration will help a conversion part, like how it will convert, in the sense usually we used to receive a electrical signal. So the output you have to take from this port. The output of the modem will be a internet, like upload and download. So the input is a electrical signal, whereas the output we are just converting as a upload or download. So that is a uplink and downlink internet. So this is about a modem. So for networking, actually this is about introduction to ethical hacking. And then networking, we have some 6 equipments: hub, switch, modem, repeater, bridge, router. So these are the 6 equipments we are having, a basic and the intermediate equipments where we are using right now in the all networking fields. So if you go for a hospital or a bank or your college, so they probably use this networking. So the networking equipments, there are topology, there are types. So those are difference. So these are the hardware equipments they are using in networking environment. So if you are in corporate or if you are in college, you just look out these equipments, because if you are targeting for any network hacking, probably you need to know, you need to understand the background principle, how they have connected the network. So whether they are using the router, whether they are using the switch, hub or modem, and then you have to analyze. So if they are using router, so that is a protection level. So you have to analyze which router and whether there is any vulnerability for that router. So this is how you have to analyze. So for that, it's mandatory to know about a networking thing. So next, about introduction to ethical hacking and introduction to networking, and then next about introduction to Linux. So what is the difference between Windows and Linux? Can anyone just, you can type in chat window even. So if you know the answer or if any answers from your side, you can type in chat window. What is the difference between Linux and Windows? Why the hackers they are using, they are preferring Linux? I'm using a Linux for the main operating system. So I don't have Windows. So why we are using Linux? Actually, the cyber pen tester, they use a Linux operating system.
So that we can modify it to our desired
Desire, okay, code we can modify one. Okay. Main difference, like even in Windows, you can get all the source file. Okay. So you can modify. That is the one answer. Um, any other answers? What is the main difference between Windows and Linux? Open source, perfectly. What is the open source? Open source. Okay. What is
It's
open source?
used for everyone, sir.
It's free of cost. Mainly it's free of cost, and Windows, yeah, exactly. The Windows difference between Windows is it's expensive and every tools are like cost effective. So it's not affordable for everyone. And one more thing, whatever the technology or whatever the techniques you are going to do, um, yeah. So whatever the techniques you are going to do with the Linux operating system, you can do by your own. Like if you know the logic, you can implement the logic and you can execute the program. So if suppose, probably if you don't, I mean, some of you may aware of Linux and some of you are not. From the basic level, you have started this workshop. So I'll explain for both level. So if suppose, if you need to download the Linux operating system, first I'll clear it out what is Linux and why we are going for Linux. Here you can either use a Kali Linux or Parrot. Kali Linux and Parrot. So what is the difference between Kali Linux and Parrot and Ubuntu? So there are three separate there are a number of operating systems are there. Probably from you people, like, can you guess how many operating system may be available in Linux platform? Just a count. How many Linux operating system you are aware of? Just you can type in chat window like 1, 2, 3, 10, 15. So likewise, how many Linux operating system till now, till the date, how many Linux operating system has been released? Any guesses from your side? 80, more than 80. Okay. So you can just, if needed, you can make a note or I'll share. So there is a website, distro test. If suppose you may ask, sir, I don't have a laptop and I have a basic level of configuration in my laptop. So here is a distro test. You can just open this and you can check. We are hosting nearly 801 operating system. Like 801 sources are here in this platform, and you can start any operating system. You can check a live boot, like live boot in the sense you can execute from this browser. If suppose you people are from different backgrounds, maybe some of you know how to install the Linux, and if suppose if you are interested but you don't know how to install the Linux, I'll just give you alternative. Even if you don't have a Kali Linux or some Linux platform, you can even execute the Kali Linux tool. So I'll give you the alternative things where you can execute. So here are some alternative, like here, if I start this, I can start and we'll wait for 2 minutes or 1 minute, less than a minute. So it will open one pop-up window where we can able to execute or where we can able to use a live Kali Linux. Not only Kali Linux, Parrot, all the operating system, Raspberry. So now the question, why they have this much operating system in the Linux platform? Maybe they have only one operating system like Windows, and they can update the version, right? So the thing is, Kali Linux, I'm using Kali Linux, and I prefer the basic, the level, the even the basic level, the advanced level. You can use either Kali Linux or Parrot. The main difference of Kali Linux and Parrot in the sense, Parrot, they mainly focus on the wireless pen testing and wireless network, whereas the Kali Linux, it's combined of all. Even the pen tester they use, like web pen tester or the mobile pen tester, they use a Kali Linux. And then even the learners, the beginners, they use a Kali Linux because it's user, like it's friendly operating system. And most of the times, you people, some of you may say the Linux is a command oriented. Only you have to use a command. Actually, the Linux is more GUI than comparatively than Windows. So only thing while you are installing, because you can use Word, you can use PPT, you can use whatever the tools you need as like Windows. Only thing when you are installing some tool, that time you have to use a command. So probably you are using Android or iOS, right? The mobile phone. So Android, if you are using, have you learned Android code? Then you are purchasing a Android mobile. Not like that, right? You know how to install one application in Android. You know how to uninstall one application. You know how to update and upgrade and basic settings. That's it. And you are saying like you are an Android user. And some iPhone users, we use the same. We are not aware of the whole coding of Android or whole coding of Xcode, like Android, iOS code. But we people just installing, uninstalling, update, upgrade. The same scenario, if you know in Kali Linux, you can use a Kali Linux and you can be as a Kali Linux user. So you have to know update, upgrade, uninstall, install, and search, how to search some tool. So this I'll explain only 5 commands. There are so a number of commands available, but as a beginner level, if you know these commands, then you can survey with Kali Linux and you can self-learn. So that we can discuss. So this is about distro test. You just make a note or keep bookmark. Like I just share in our chat window finally. Like this is a live Linux. Sorry. Live Linux. You can use distro test. And you people may think, sir, how can I install Kali Linux in my laptop? So I need to use my Kali Linux in my laptop because we people are learning hacking, right? So we people are starting with hacking or we people are advanced in hacking. So I'll just explain for both of members because most of the members from scratch or from beginners or intermediate. So I'll just start from the scratch level. So if you need to install Kali Linux, probably we need a virtual box. So virtual box, if you know already, you just skip this, or if you don't know, you just keep a note of it. Actually, virtual box is a platform where we can able to create a virtual environment. A physical environment, we have a RAM, hard disk, everything in our system, right? So virtually, we can create all those things. So for that, we need a tool that is a virtual box. You have to download this virtual box from this link. And here you can download for Windows, OS X, and Linux. I have a VirtualBox in my Linux platform. Inside Linux platform, I have installed Windows. So probably if you are a Windows user, you will install Kali Linux inside Windows. So that you have to do. So for that, you have to download. Here you can see this is my VirtualBox. I have Windows 7 inside. Windows 7 is to try the hacking, and Windows 10, Windows 8 server, so all those things. And if you need to install, just download for Windows and then you can install. I'll explain you how the first level of Linux works, VirtualBox. And then, sir, I don't know how to install Kali Linux. So where can I download and where can I install Kali Linux? So for this question, you have to open kali.org. Wait. I think the website is down. Can you just anyone check this particular website? If can you open this? If so, you just inform me. So kali.org. Can you just check this website? Kali. Actually, this is the home website of Kali Linux. Just check with this, or we can proceed with the other topic. Maybe they'll resolve within 1 or 2 hours. Then we can proceed with downloading. Is it working? Not working.
I
Okay.
think there's too
Okay.
many.
Maybe this is a error from their end. No issues. You have to open this and you have to download the OVA file. So OVA file, they open Kali download. So you have to open OVA file. Like once you just remind me at the end of the session, I'll explain you where we can download the Kali Linux, or I'll send you a PDF. So where you can get downloading part. So once you download, what we have to do. So I'll explain. I'll stop sharing the screen. I'll share my other screen where I'm having a Kali Linux, because this machine I have main operating system as a Kali Linux. Because if I explain in this, you will get confused. I'll explain in other laptop. So here, hope you can view my screen. Wait, I'll share it. Hope you can view my screen, right? If yes, you can type yes or unmute and you can inform me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here is a Kali Linux. Here is a VirtualBox. VirtualBox is virtual operating system, and you may ask, sir, why I can install this Kali Linux as a dual operating system? Like nowadays, the government laptop, they have a dual operating system, and even the branded corporate laptop, they used to have a dual operating system, Windows and Linux. You may go for that, but as a beginner level, I prefer you people to use Kali Linux as a virtual platform, because if you use in virtual platform, if you find any difficulty or any doubt, you can refer with Windows browser. If anything happens in Kali Linux, you can parallelly refer in Windows and you can do. So for that purpose, you can use Kali Linux in this mode, like virtual mode. Even you may ask, sir, is there any other alternative for VirtualBox? Yeah, it's there. You can go for virtual like VMware. So instead of VirtualBox, you can go for VMware. But I prefer VirtualBox because VirtualBox is lightweight, and it doesn't have more set of options. So it consumes means less RAM comparatively to VMware. So my suggestion, you can go for VirtualBox. If you are already know how to use VMware, you can go with VMware. It's not an issue. Either you can use VMware or VirtualBox. So here, I have downloaded the OVA file. You can see here, this is a OVA file, and how to install this file into this Kali Linux, because VirtualBox. So two things you have to download. I informed earlier. One is a VirtualBox. Hope you know how to install virtualbox.exe. You can double click and you can install that virtual box. Once it get installed, you won't get any of these options. So it's like empty virtual box. And then secondly, you have to download Kali Linux from the official website. So after downloading Kali Linux, what you have to do in the sense, you have to import that Kali Linux in this virtual platform. So likewise, if suppose if I'm having one CPU, and if I'm sending the clone of CPU to all you members, you can just connect that CPU in your monitor and you can able to view whatever configuration I made in that CPU, right? Can able to get what I'm saying? Like if I'm sending a CPU, I'm just installing one Kali Linux operating system in one CPU. The hard disk will be there, RAM will be there, graphics card will be there in that CPU. So now 39 members are there. Consider 30 plus members are there. So I'm just cloning that particular CPU and sending to all you 30 plus members. So you can connect that CPU to your monitor, the home monitor. And if you turn on that CPU, whatever the configuration I made, you all members can able to view, right? Yes or no? The same way, like if suppose if you are downloading the Kali Linux machine, you have to use file, import application, and then you have to choose only the Kali Linux file. So you don't need to do any set of configuration. You can choose here. There is a choose option. You can choose the down like the OVA file which you have downloaded. So and then you can already I did. So if you are having the OVA file, at the end I just explain you about the importing of Kali Linux. And once you don't need to do any set of configuration, just accept and I agree. It will get imported within some 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So it will take some time, depends upon your RAM. So once it get uh, updated, you will get the name of the Linux machine. And then there is a first step, you have to go to settings, and then there is an option called network settings. If possible, keep a note of this. And then you have to change this adapter settings to Wi-Fi. So instead of NAT, by default it will be in NAT adapter. We have to change this to bridged adapter. So then only you will get a continuous IP where you are allocating for your Windows machine. In my case, I am using Mac. So whatever the IP series I'm using in Mac, the same network, the Kali Linux will get connected, and I used to get the sequence IP. So if suppose my IP of Mac is 192.168.1.2, in my Kali Linux, I used to get 192.168.1.3. For that, we are choosing this bridged adapter. And then we are just the communicating. We are just connecting my Mac and my the Kali Linux so that we can able to communicate with the internal network. So this is the first step you have to do. I'll repeat again. First, you have to download VirtualBox and Kali Linux and install Kali Linux. Then install VirtualBox and then import your Kali Linux inside VirtualBox. There you don't need to do any settings. Just accept and I agree. It will ask and will wait for. If you wait for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, depends upon your RAM feasibility. It will get installed, and then you have to do some changes in setting in this network setting. By default, it will be in NAT adapter. You have to change the bridged adapter, and then okay. That's it. And then you can start your Kali Linux. Once you start, probably some of you members may get error. You may ask like, oh, what is the error I may get and how to fix? The major error is a virtualization technology is being disabled. And one more thing, whenever you are getting any error in VirtualBox, you just click a detail view and read out the error. Most probably 90% error you will be getting a error name VTX technology disabled or virtualization technology disabled. Make a note of this. Maybe this error may occur when you are installing Kali Linux. in any case, in any new machine. Virtualization technology disabled or VTX technology disabled. If you are getting those error, to fix that error, you have to restart your machine. For example, if your machine is a Dell machine or Lenovo machine or Samsung or any machine, check in internet for a boot key, BIOS key, F2 or F12 or F7. They used to have some keys for the boot or BIOS setting. So restart your machine, go to the BIOS option. There in the advanced tab, there will be the option virtualization technology or VTX technology or AMD VTX. If it's a AMD processor, then Intel processor, you will be getting AMD VTX. So that is a virtualization technology. You have to enable that. If you are getting the virtualization technology disabled while you are starting VirtualBox, you have to enable in your BIOS. So why we need to enable the in BIOS in the sense, then only your computer will support the VirtualBox. So because VirtualBox, you are allocating the physical memory as a virtual way. You are allocating the RAM, hard disk, everything as a virtual way. So for that, your BIOS or your board has to support for that. So automatically it will support probably. Some of the system, they used to disable those things. BIOS, what is BIOS in the sense? Like the black screen. So this is a screen. If you start your system, BIOS Lenovo. So hope you seen this screen anywhere, Shankar? So actually, if you start your machine and if you press F2 or F12, you will get this screen. And here, Lenovo VTX or virtualization BIOS. If you search like this, you will get this option. So Intel virtualization technology, it's disabled by default. We have to enable and save the settings. So if you are using laptop or desktop, if you restart your system, you will be landing to this page. So restart and press F12 or F2. So if you need to know, you just search with the keyword Lenovo BIOS key or whatever the machine you are using. You have to search like Lenovo BIOS key. So here is a F1, 5 to 10 times. Or you can use video, you can use a model number. For example, Lenovo G550 BIOS key. So here they use a video and they'll make you to understand how to open BIOS setting. So in this BIOS, you have to add those settings. You have to change those settings, virtualization technology. So clear with this, how to install, like probably the network, the server is down in Kali Linux. So they'll rectify within some 1 or 2 hours. We'll see how to download the Kali Linux. Can you able to understand how to import and what are the settings we have to change in Kali Linux? Shall we proceed? If yes, you can type yes. Or if any doubts, just clear it and we can proceed. Clear with this?
So,
Yeah. So and by default, the Kali Linux password is Kali. If you know how to use Kali Linux, most of the staff members and most of the friends, they are not aware of how to use a Kali Linux. So just learn how to use Kali Linux and I'll suggest you some tool. I'll explain you some tool. Just learn about those things. So then you can work whatever you need. So this is about environment of Kali Linux. I'll explain you about the environment. What are the things they are having in Kali Linux by default? So actually, the left-hand side, this is a menu, like a Windows Start menu. They have in Kali Linux, and this they have all the tools. By default, they have some 250 plus tools for hacking, information gathering, web application analysis. Everything will be there in by default. They have in Kali Linux. And then the second option, this is like a minimize option. If you have opened a tab, like 10 or 20 tabs opened in Kali Linux, you can just press this. You can able to minimize all the tab. And third one is about folder option, like how you are having your my computer in your Windows. So here they have a folder option where you can able to map for downloads, desktop and videos, everything. And here we have a um, file system. So like a C drive, whatever the tools you are installing, it will be there in this file system. And the fourth one, this is a terminal, the important and powerful tool for Kali Linux. To open this terminal, either you can click and open, or the shortcut is Control Alt T. So this is a terminal. And to zoom the terminal, Control plus or Control Shift plus. So you can able to zoom this terminal. And if you minimize any window, so it will be there in the top. Like if you minimize, so it will be there in the, so here file system, and this is a terminal, and this is a time, and then here is a battery level and everything, speaker, and this is a download and shut, sorry, log out and shut down button. And here in terminal, I just explain you one command. Once we start the Kali Linux, the first thing you have to check whether we are connected with the internet. So for that, the first command, ping space google.com. Enter. So you'll get one IP address. So just copy the IP, copy, and then to terminate this commands, you can press Ctrl C, it will get terminated. So I just typed ping space google.com, and then I have copied the IP which is listed here. And then for browser, you can click the Kali Linux button. Right hand side you can find web browser, so click and open that web browser. By default, the Firefox is installed in the Kali Linux. And once you open, actually this is a manual page. Whatever the doubts you are having in Kali Linux, you can able to view in this manual. Here is a documentation, everything will be. So as the Kali Linux website is down till now, still, so if it's live, we can able to view the content and we can join in forum, so everything is possible. And I'll just paste the IP and press enter. So if it's redirecting to google.com, it means that you have a reliable internet. So this is about to check the internet, that's it. So I'll repeat again. First, open your Kali Linux and terminal, ping space google.com, and then you'll be getting the IP. If you copy the IP and paste in browser, the browser is there here, web browser, or you can search browser. So anything you can do, and then you can copy, you can paste the IP address, enter. So if it's redirecting properly to Google page, it means that you have a proper internet. Next command, the basic things. So if suppose you people are a Windows user, if suppose you have a question, sir, past 1 year or 2 year I am using Windows, so directly if I start with Kali Linux, I can't cope up or I can't follow those tools and techniques. Is there any way to make it easy, like a Windows machine? Because I am used up with Windows machine. If you are having this question, they have some two command, Kali hyphen undercover, enter. So if you type this command, the whole Kali Linux will be converted as a Windows theme. So you can see here, like a Windows, you'll get all the things. And if you click the start menu, the menus looks like a Windows, but the tools, they have a Linux tool. The theme, like probably you will install the mobile theme, right? The same way, the appearance, yeah, you can able to convert as like a Windows, but the tools and the options, whatever the here it's look like E, like a web browser. If I open this, it will open the Firefox browser. So only thing you are changing the appearance. So for that, the command is calling. Here you can even, the terminal looks like a command prompt. If you need to roll back to the previous, the same theme, under cover, enter. So you can able to roll back to the previous theme, the same theme, Kali Linux theme. So clear with this commands. The first, once you are into the Kali Linux, first you have to check IP address. Sorry, to check the network, you have to type ping space the website name, and then you can copy the IP and paste in browser and check the internet properly. And then to change the theme, you can use Kali hyphen undercover. So I'll type all the commands in our the notepad, so you don't need to take a notes. I'll type everything. So here, after this, to check the IP address, so open same terminal and you can type to check the IP ifconfig. So like in Windows, the command is ipconfig. Here ifconfig. So here you can able to view the IP address 192.168.1.5. So this is the IP address of my Kali Linux. So which is there inside the virtual box. So these are the three main commands. First, are you clear with these commands? Then we can move on to uh, tools, how to use some hacking tools in Kali Linux. And if you don't have a Kali Linux, I'll explain you where you can apply the same tools in Termex, that is a mobile based hacking environment, and Google Colab, that is a Google based on hacking and the execution environment. I'll explain you those things. So clear with Kali Linux overview. If you have any doubts, you can just inform me. I'll repeat again. The three commands and how to use Kali Linux, the basic about the techniques you have to follow when you have a Kali Linux. So first you have to know about the menu and the commands about check the internet, IP address, and Kali hyphen undercover. So the three basic command. So clear with this? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir. Clear with this.
So next one, once you are into the Kali Linux, so wait, I just so I just type the content which we discussed right now. So here, import Kali Linux, and then commands, open terminal, import Kali Linux, change network setting, and then commands, open terminal, and then in this terminal, you can type the first command ping space google.com, and then Kali hyphen undercover, and then ifconfig. So these are the basic commands which you have to know when you are using Kali Linux. So and then now it's time like how we can use some tools. Before starting that, I'll explain you about the Google. So first we completed the first thing about introduction about ethical hacking, and then introduction to networking, and then introduction to Linux operating system. So these are the basic level introduction about all these things, because once we are starting with the core part, we probably need to know what are the things we are going to learn and phases, and then networking, what are the equipments they are having, and then Linux. So how to use a Linux and how to download and import and how to use a Linux. So next about Google. Google search or GHDB, Google hacking database. So this is the next level. In this, we are going to explain or we are going to demonstrate about some of the tools. Wait. So if you have any doubts till this, you can proceed. You can just inform me. I just clear it and we can proceed with the next topic. That is a Google search. And then we are going to the core part, like how to use a hacking tools in Windows environment, sorry, in Linux environment, in mobile environment, and in Google Colab. So that is one part of environment. So this I'm going to start right now. So before that, we'll have some. Give me some 5 minutes of time. So 5 minutes you can take a break because 1 hour completed. So 5 minutes you can take a break, and then we can start at 11. Now it's 11:02, so we can start approximately 11:05 or 11:07. So 5 minutes you can. Shall I take like coordinators? You are there in meeting, right?
Yes, sir, it's up to you.
Yeah. So you can come back at 5 to 10 minutes. We can start like
Yeah, they didn't leave the meet, sir. Let them be in the meet itself.
yeah, yeah. Okay, no issues. So we'll start at 10:07 or 10:10. Probably at max you can get joined at 10:10. So take some 8 to 5, 10 to 5 minutes of break.
Participants, take a 5 minutes break and be back soon, okay? You needn't leave the meet.